Hi everyone, Zach here, and welcome to Lesson 6 on this series on developing a survival game. In this video, we'll create our stamina system. Our stamina system will also be used to update our sprint system. This video and this series have been brought to you by Patreon sponsors like Random Number Generator. That said, fire up your project and let's get started. Welcome back to the editor, everybody, and in today's video, we are going to work on our stamina system. Our stamina system, as I talked about in the prep video, is going to get around what a lot of people do in using a after tick. Yes, we're going to use a timer, and timers, we have a lot more control over them. So with that said, let's get started. Go into your survival game, go to your core, go to your character, and open up your character. And I am going to find where I put that jump, and I'm just going to move my jump over here so I have the movement stuff near each other. And hey, we're going to actually finish the sprint stuff out today too. So this is related to our sprint system. Because I know I'm going to need a bit of room down the road, I'm just going to make that comment a tiny bit bigger. Good me would get rid of that comment. Lazy me is going to leave the comment in and just resize it. Also, that's bugging me. All right. I am going to do a custom event. So I'm going to right click on my graph, type custom event. And this custom event will be our stamina check. This event is going to be what's running on a timer. So we only want, this will cause us to lose stamina or gain stamina. In fact, in good encapsulation, you might make this 3 different events. We're going to do it as 2. 1 for losing, 1 for gaining, and 1 for running, which one you need. So this is going to run the check and also deplete our stamina. We'll have a second custom event, and let's go ahead and create that right now. That will be our stamina regen trigger. And this event won't run on a timer, but will be triggered by the event on the timer over and over again. So anytime we need to run this event, this will trigger it. So in effect, this is running on the same timer. So we're killing 2 birds with 1 stone, or 1 timer. All right, I'll show myself out for that really, really bad joke. And what we're gonna do from our execute here is we're gonna get a branch because we need to be able to determine should we be regaining or depleting stamina. And here's the thing. We're gonna want our sprint system to cause us to lose stamina. We're gonna want to know, hey, do we actually have stamina? If we don't, then it doesn't really matter and we should start regenning it if we can. I say if we can because we're gonna tie the hunger and stamina system together. And we also wanna know, well, I could be in game, and actually let me just demonstrate this. I am currently sprinting according to the game. I'm holding the shift key down. I am not sprinting. I am sprinting. Hopefully that key press is loud enough for you to hear me doing it. So we also need to know, is the character moving? So we have 3 things we need to check. So how do we do 3 conditions? Do we have 3 branches? No. We do and. We have this and boolean. We select that and we add a 3rd pin. Let's do the easiest first. I meant to open our bools, not our stats. We're going to get the is sprinting, and we're going to put that in there. Now, I said when we did our sprinting video that the always sprinting is going to tie in. It is. But remember, always sprinting and sprint both set this to true. So that gives us that. We will deal with the always sprinting part at the end of the sort of line of events we're going to do. So are we sprinting? Are we moving? Let's do that one next. So to get are we moving, we do get velocity. Now we could get the length of this. We could do length and get the vector length. I actually don't like that approach for some reason. I have many reasons for not liking it, but one of them is it can actually misfire in my experience. What we are going to do is we're going to get equal vector. Do not use exactly equal. Just trust me, anything with floats, you don't want to typically do exactly equal. So we'll do equal vector. And we're going to leave this as 0, 0, 0 with a tolerance of 0.01. So even if this is 0.0001, it still counts as 0, and it will still return a true. So our tolerance gives us a bit of wiggle room. Not that I've ever actually seen it mess with the tolerance stuff. And then finally, we want to check, does the character have stamina? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my stamina variables really quickly before I forget to do that. That probably should have been the first thing I did. And that's going to be character stamina. So we're keeping the same naming convention we use with their health of character health. And I'm going to put this in my category of stats stamina. It will, of course, be of a type float. I mean, it doesn't have to be of type float. It could be integer. And I'm going to do what I did last time. I'm going to create a max. So I'm just going to duplicate it. And I'm going to compile. And I'm going to set my max to 100, of course. And I'm going to set my default stamina also to 100. Just to make life easier. And I'm going to get my character stamina. And all I'm going to do is check, is this greater than 0? And plug that in there. Now, I'm going to be really, really cheeky about this. We should be using getters. I'm going to take the character stamina, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to collapse that one node down to a function. And it's a pure function. And I probably should type the name in first before I did the pure part. And this is get stamina. All right, this will go into my stats stamina folder. And actually, you know what? This won't be is it equal to 0. We'll come back to that in just a moment. We're going to actually associate a cost of sprinting or jumping. We haven't done the jumping in the prep file. That's something I'll actually plan for the end of the series, to our stamina system. So we'll actually put a number in there at some point. Actually, we'll use a variable. And this is checking if sprint is active and the character is moving and has enough stamina. Reading my comment on my early recording file, I can tell I added this in to debug something. So I'm almost tempted, and actually I will remove this for now. You can leave it plugged in. I'm going to leave that as true though. I'm going to leave it unplugged just to show you why I've done this. So if this is false, then we want to do our stamina regen trigger. So that will activate this function down here. We're making a call to it. So this is on a timer. If we're not sprinting, if we aren't moving, then we're going to start regaining our stamina. If, however, we do have our conditions met here, we're going to have another branch. And this one, what we're going to do is we are going to check, do we have stamina? Because we don't want to deplete if we don't have stamina. So we're going to do a simple check here of check has stamina. If you can't tell by the way I said that, that is clearly going to be a function. It's going to be a pure function. So I'm going to get my stamina. Could have just copied those nodes. I'm going to check, is this greater than 0, and plug that into there. I'm going to take the two nodes here, collapse to function, and this is check has stamina. It is a pure function, and my return value is B has stamina. Why haven't I done this down here? Well, as I hinted, I'm actually going to be doing something different down here. I have the lurking suspicion in my earlier recordings, and I could go back and watch them, even though they're messed up, that I actually used that node there and replaced it with what we end up using in the end. So, if this is true, then we want to deplete our stamina. And what we're going to do to deplete our stamina is we're going to just get our, not stamina max, we're going to set our stamina, just like we did with our health. We are going to do a float minus float. And we will take away from our current stamina on the top pin, again, has to be the top pin. And I'm just going to cheat for a moment. I'm going to create a delete me variable. The reason why I'm doing this is I'm going to take everything but the delete me, and I am going to collapse to function. So I have that input pin there, which is saving me from having to go back in and do the input pin. And this is stamina deplete. I can now delete that from both windows. And I am going to name this my stamina. Sorry about the way I just said stamina there. Deplete value. I'm gonna compile, save, pop this open, come in here, and well, we could do what we did earlier and make sure this doesn't go below 0. And in fact, we probably should do that, right? Right? Usually we would, but we'll handle our check in a different way. The reason we don't need it is we have that check right here. We shouldn't drop below 0. I'm just gonna set a value of 3 for now, not 32, 3. And I'm gonna be a bit cheeky. I'm gonna copy these two nodes, the print node and the float to string node, and I'm gonna paste them down here so that we can see what our stamina is when we sprint. There we go. I'm just gonna leave that some distance out because, hey, we're gonna put the UI stuff there. If this is not true, we do not have stamina, then what we need to do is another branch. And this is where the always sprint comes into play, by the way. We want to check, is always sprinting active? And before we do this, I'm going to walk you through the logic. When we hold the shift key down, we're doing this check. If we put a branch to check if we have stamina in here, we can do the same here, but then we have this issue with this flip-flop. So as I said with our stamina system, what we could do is we can have another event come in. So I'm going to create a third custom event called abort sprint. And abort sprint is going to directly come into the flip-flop. And will only activate if the always sprinting is true, so that we've already gone through the A once. In other words, this will always only trigger the B, because this should only fire as a second event. So is always sprinting is true, then we are going to abort the sprint. And if it's not true, we are going to set is walking. Let me just quickly put this into the stamina category so this is a bit easier to move through. And with them in the stamina category, I'm going to just open my controller, movement, set is walking. Well, why are we doing the set is walking? Well, if they're sprinting, what we're trying to do is make sure that we stay at, if they're holding the shift key, we want it to switch over to set is walking even if they're holding the shift key. If they're always sprinting, we run this abort sprint, it's going to come through here and automatically, as a result of our setup, go into the set is walking. So it is nice. Now, depending on how nice you want to be to your player, you can end this here. That's not the nice way. And that's fine. You don't have to be nice in that regard. I am choosing to be nice to the player at this stage. And I am going to do a stamina regen trigger. And I'm going to put a reroute in. Again, reroutes are optional. And plug in the set is walking. So that on the same run through this event, if we go down here, we do get a little bit of a regen. So that sets us through our check our stamina system. And now let's do our regen trigger. So here we need a branch, and this branch is Y, and this branch is going to be Y. We don't have the max check. It's similar to this event here. We are going to have two things we need to check. So I'm going to put an and in. Now, one of these things, the second thing, I am just going to mark as true. That is part of our hunger system. This is where we're going to tie in our hunger system partially into our stamina system. Because we don't have our hunger system yet, we're just going to default this as true. What I want to check here is our stamina below our max stamina. So I'm going to get my stamina. I'm going to check, is this less than is our character stamina less than our max stamina? If our character stamina is less than our max stamina, then I want to increase our character's stamina. Now again, just like in health, I could do this as a polymorphic function, but that requires thinking of either gains as being negative or as losses being negative instead of just using whole numbers. And I am going to warn you, our health system, I intentionally do something that makes this obvious why I have it as a polymorphic. names alone can be really confusing, especially when the name is the inverse of what's actually happening. So all we're going to do is we're going to take our stamina deplete and we are going to duplicate it. You could do Control W instead of the duplicate node, or sorry, right clicking and doing duplicate. And this is stamina regen. In stamina regen, all I am doing is changing this out for a positive value. Also, it's going to bug me is I don't have a reroute in here. Sorry, I don't like the lines like that. It's harder to read. So I'm going to delete that. We're going to do float plus float. Plug our stamina into there. Plug the deplete. Well, it's not deplete anymore. I'm going to have to rename that. Also, I wish I had not hit Q when I did there. This is our stamina regen value. All right, I'm just going to compile, save. And let's go back to our event graph and call in our stamina regen. I am going to, for now, hard code a value of 0.5. So they'll regain 0.5. By the way, when we get into section 5, I believe, 3 will be equipment, 2 is inventory, 4 is environment. So 5, yeah, section 5, when we start doing our game timers or game time, then we will have a change to these numbers. I'm going to grab this print string with a stamina, and I'm going to Control W to duplicate it down here, plug it into there, and now I can see what my stamina is. Now, finally, before we can test this out, well, actually, sorry, we have a couple of things before we can finally test it out. We have 2 things left to do. First, we have to activate a timer, and 2, we need something to actually cause us to lose stamina, the sprinting stuff. So, oh, sorry, we need to check something for sprinting. We need to be able to just double check that we have stamina for sprinting. So really quickly, let's just take care of our sprint here. I'm just going to move this to the side, and I'm going to work on the set is sprinting. Off the is press, I'm going to have a branch. And now I'm going to grab all the always sprinting stuff and move it down here. I'm going to move back the set is walking. I'm going to put a reroute here. Line that up. I'm going to put another reroute here. And I'm going to come off the false and plug into the false, just so I have this set up. So what's going to happen is that if we have stamina, we can sprint. I'm going to put an AND node in, because I know in section 2, we're going to have part of our equipment system related to can we sprint. It's going to be our encumbrance system. So I'm just going to mark that as true for now. And I'm going to get my check has stamina and plug it into there. All right. Likewise, I know that I'm going to put something in here, but I'm not going to worry about that because it doesn't relate to the sprint system or stamina system. This really is our sprint system. So thank you. You know what? I don't like you, Unreal. There we go. Sprint. Sometimes being mean to Unreal makes it work. That isn't true, but I'm going to tell myself that. So we now have our sprint system all but finalized outside of this, and something else related to our equipment system that will go down here. Sorry, our inventory system, our equipment system separate. Now that we've done that, we need to create a timer. So the timer, because we're not using a tick, we're not using an actor tick, we are going to do a set event by timer. Now you could pull from this event, find that, and do that. How messy is that? I don't like that. So I'm going to break this, and I'm going to create this event. So I'm going to pull off and do create event, and I'm going to find my stamina check. Oh, it's the first one there. That's why I can't see it. It's going to be looping, and I am going to set this to loop every 0.1 second. Now, even though I've just done that, I am going to promote this to a variable just so I have a stamina timer so I can change that value if I need to down the road and only have to worry about it once. I will put this into the same category as the other things related to stamina, so stats stamina. I will not use a timer handle, and eventually I will be collapsing this and the hunger timer into one function. So now if I hit play and I start walking, notice that under my screen, down here, something weird happened there. That it's firing. I'm losing stamina despite not moving. Oh, I see. Sorry, delete that node. Actually, yeah, no, delete that node. This should be not equals to. If it is not equal to 0, again, the not, don't use a not exactly equal, just use a not equal 1, then the character is moving. So, sorry, let me just heal the character. If I hold shift now, nothing's happening. I'm not running. I'm walking. I hold shift, and you see the stamina is depleting. When it hits 0, it did go below negative, but yeah, sometimes that happens. And that's where this other check comes in. So I'm going to create a cost for our running. It's going to be our sprint stamina cost. And it's going to be a value of 2, by the way. So I'm just going to change that to 2. I'm going to promote this to a variable, and this will be my sprint, or weird symbols, stamina cost. My fingers were not on the home keys, clearly. That will go into my stats stamina. I'm going to compile to make sure that is 2. And I'm going to plug that into here. And I'm going to plug that into there. All right, that will take care of it partly. So as I move, I stop sprinting. You see it's coming back up. I'm sprinting again. There we go. It does not go below 0 now. That is why that's in there. So we don't need that extra check. We have it at the start. Now I'm going to let that get back up a bit. I'm going to hit my caps lock key. You see it's going down, and now it's going back up. I'm no longer sprinting. I hit caps lock again. All right. I'm walking. I hit caps lock. I'm sprinting. It's decreasing. I hit caps lock again. It should decrease. Actually, I'm going to wait till it goes back up. Caps lock, decrease. Ooh, okay. So, looks like there's a bit of an argument going on there. All right, let's work out why this is. Sorry about that. I paused to check my prep file because I'm like, this doesn't happen in my prep file. It is. And that's because in, well, the other recording file, I did this. As I mentioned, I was reading my comment, and I don't have this check has enough stamina, but I have that event there. And I worked out I did it because of another bug where we go below 0. And when I added that in, it actually doesn't work there either. So I was thinking about something, a logic here. Well, we don't care here, do we have, if we're above our sprint amount. We actually don't. We care about this when we're here, and we care over here if we have any stamina. So we have stamina, then we don't want to regain it. Actually, all 3 of these things have to be true for this to go to true. So we still want that. We care here, do we have enough to actually run? And if we do it this way, then it will work. So that heal thing. All right. So I'm depleting my stamina. I have caps lock, by the way. And notice now I'm regaining stamina. I hit caps lock again. I start depleting stamina until I hit 0. I get up to 25, and there we go. And I decrease it again by hitting caps lock yet again. So we have completed, outside of our UI, our stamina system. So when we do our UI, we can comment this out. And we'll then, in the next video, do our hunger system. I'm just going to Control S, save everything. Apparently I had to save my prep file. All right. So that said, if you've enjoyed setting up your stamina system and having it not run on a tick, and having it do a regen system, seeing that it works, make sure to hit that like button down below. It really does help this channel out and lets me know I am bringing you content that you appreciate. In addition, if you want to be here when we do work on our hunger system, please make sure to hit that subscribe and follow the mannequin's eyes. Where's he going to look? He's looking down there in the right corner, the notify bell. If you don't hit the notify bell, YouTube might not tell you about it for a while. And if you want a copy of this project file, consider joining me on Patreon or supporting us on Patreon. And at upper tiers, you will get instant access to the file. At other tiers, you will get access to the files for this project and other YouTube projects when they are completed on YouTube. That said, this series has been brought to you by Patreon sponsors like Haynes, Quadmenson, and Regen. And if you want to join us on Discord, be part of the community, come and join us. Links down in the description below. That said, I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.